Kia ora e hoa, haere mai. Come and join me. I've got a cool book here all about a grumpy mole. Do you know what a mole is? It's an animal that lives underground. Have a look. This is the mole, and he's the grumpy mole. This book is by John Evan Harris, and these wonderful illustrations are by Minky Stapleton. Are you nice and comfy? Ready for a story? Well, let's begin. In a great big forest, among great big trees, there's a tiny little village of tiny little houses where tiny creatures live. Can you see the tiny village? Look at those houses. Aren't they cute? Fairies and elves, 2 mice or 3, in charming wee houses up high in a tree. Butterflies, beetles, and even a gnome. For each of them, all of them, this is their home. Now, one sunny day, the fairies and mice finished their breakfast and said, "'Twould be nice to go to the river to frolic and play." So they skipped down the path. What a beautiful day! When... Roar! A big grumpy mole jumped out from a hole. He looked like a bear, a possum, or troll. He stood on the path and gave a big roar. "Hey!" he said loud, shaking dirt from his claw. Look at that grumpy mole. He does look grumpy, doesn't he? "I am a mole, and I've just dug this hole. It's dark, and I like it that way. I am a mole, and this is my hole. Now all of you just go away." "Good morning, Mr. Mole," a mouse said politely, as he'd been told. "We're on our way to the river to play. Would you like to come too? It's a beautiful day." "What?" said the mole. "Get wet in the water? Moles like the dry. Didn't anyone taught ya? When you come back, make sure you are quiet. I don't like loud noise, so don't even try it." What a grumpy mole! So on the way back, the friends didn't speak as they crept past Mole's house. Not even a squeak. No flutter of wings, no small fairy laughter. They were all very scared till their bedtime and after. Look at their faces. That mole gave them a big fright. Now the fairies and mice the very next day, when the dishes were done, decided to play. "Be quiet, no noise," the butterfly said, and that made the mice start trembling with dread. Then, as they skipped down the path, a scary surprise. What's going to happen? Grrrr! Out jumped the mole, rubbing his eyes. "I was trying to sleep when I heard a small squeak, and your noise just ruined my week." "Sorry we squeaked," said the tiniest mouse. "We're specially quiet when we pass by your house." "Grrr," said the mole, with a wave of his claws. "I'm not feeling well, so I'm going indoors." Crikey! Look at those claws. He must use them for digging his home under the ground. Scary claws. And when they came back, expecting a shout, the mole wasn't there. He didn't come out. Next day was the same. No sign of the mole. The friends were so quiet as they crept past the hole. Can you see them on tippy toes? Not even a squeak. "He's gone," said a mouse. "He has shifted away. He never told us how long he would stay." "He's buzzed all right," said the bumblebee bee. "Well," squeaked the mouse, "let's go in and see." They crept in the cave ever so quietly. It was ever so dark and ever so frightly. And just when they thought there was nobody there, they heard a deep grumble, just like a bear. Can you see the word? Groar! "Run!" squeaked a mouse, and she scampered outside. All the friends followed, and they were quite mortified. Did the bear chase them, or was it a bear? No, but the sound of his moans was filling the air. What could it be? "It sounds like he's sick," said a brave little mouse, and boldly returned to the mole's scary house. And there in the dark, she could just make it out, the mole on his bed with his claws hanging out. "Grah!" moaned the mole. So the fairies and mice did something quite nice. They left him a jug and some water and ice. They placed a wet flannel upon his hot brow, and on his side table they left him a flower. What a nice thing to do! He was such a grumpy mole, but they've chosen to be really nice to him. Quietly each day they did the same things. No squeaking of mice, no flutter of wings. They mopped and they dusted, hour after hour, left medicine, water, a freshly picked flower. Then after a week of lying in bed, he seemed to get better and raised his big head. He looked all around him and rubbed his tired eyes. Then he said, "Grah!" in a growly surprise. Look at his whiskers. They're all wiggly. "Run!" squeaked the mice, not feeling so brave, and they hurried and scurried right out of the cave. Then the mole saw the flowers and medicine too. The cave was so tidy, he was wondering who. So the mole went outside and he squinted his eyes. What he saw in the sun was a little surprise. There were fairies and mice and a butterfly too. So he bent down to look and said, "So it was you." "Well, grumbly mumpkin," laughed the old mole. Yes, he actually laughed, that grumpy old soul. "I am ever so grateful that you were so kind. I know I was grumpy, but you didn't mind. You still showed me kindness as I lay there so sick. I want to say sorry, and say sorry quick. And if I say sorry, will that be enough? Will you forgive me for being so gruff?" "Of course we forgive you," said one little fairy. "Well, thanks," said the mole, "'cause I know I was scary. And now I can promise my grumpiness ends, so hopefully, possibly, could we be friends?" What do you think they'll say? Do you think they'll want to be friends with him now he's not grumpy anymore? And that is what happened, believe it or not. That grumpy mole changed right on the spot. Instead of his growling, he was happy thereafter. From inside his cave came echoing laughter. The happy old mole now leaves his dark house to come out and play with Fairy and Mouse. How cool! What's he doing? He's swimming. He's got swimming goggles on. And sometimes for fun, he'll jump from his cave, tweak his long whiskers, growl loud and say, "I am a mole and I live in this hole. It's quiet and I like it that way. I am a mole and I live in a hole, but just today, won't you stay here and play?" And that's the end of the story. Wow, what a cool story. Fancy being a grumpy old mole and still ending up with lots of friends. I bet he's a good friend now. And weren't the fairies and the mice and all the creatures so kind to him? Did you enjoy the story? I thought you would. If you want to find out more about it, you can visit johnevanharris.com. And I'll put the link to Minky Stapleton's website too, so you can find out more about her beautiful illustrations. Look for this in your local bookstore or your local library. It'll be a good one to have on your bookshelf too. And come and visit me again soon. Look at all these books here. We've got so many more to read. I love it when you come to visit. Ka kite.